Hi guys, so it's the month of May. Let's talk about our numbers for the month of April. We just concluded month of April. Okay, so before I get started, I need to clarify something very succinctly, very clearly. Um, Whenever you see our expenditure on the fuel side of the fuel column of it, the amount written there are not the amount that was used the entire day. It was the amount that we used to start. Okay, so for instance, if you see 20,000 under fuel expenditure, that means we started the day with 20,000. Ordinarily speaking, the amount of fuel needed to go through the entire day comes around from 30 to 45,000. That's the range within which most of the time that's what I had to spend to go through an entire day, especially when it's a full day's work. Okay, and then a half day work may take like 15k maybe. So it's the amount you see. There's always the amount just to start. It's not the entire amount. Okay. However, based on how we do our own calculation, right? Any amount spent at work is an expenditure. It's not calculated as a total amount. For instance, I pay commission while at work. Okay, I don't fix it into the box, because by the time I've paid commission and all that, those are all deductibles, or those are all deducted. And then what you have, for instance, if I say my total number for the month is for the week, sorry, for the day is 70k or 60k, then that is the number after I have deducted what you call it, fuel, not fuel, commission, and then after I've deducted the necessary amount of fuel needed to start the next day, then I can tell you this is my net profit. I can say my net profit is actually 65, because what I need to start the next day may just be 10,000. Okay, and then when I've worked on the weekday and gotten back said money, for instance, when I got, let's say, 20,000 or 25,000 for a weekday's work, I remove as much as 20,000 to start the Sunday work. So my profit for a day that I made 25,000 on a weekday is just 5k. I hope that is clear. Another thing I wanted to mention was I work mostly on InDrive. So it's just my thing. There's Uber, but I prefer InDrive, especially because of the commission and the flexibility. I love to see where I'm going and to know that there are other options apart from that particular place. I don't like to just be locked into a particular location. Because of the options that InDrive provide, I prefer them, and the commission is quite great too. Okay, so the numbers are like this. Now we have specifically three goals. Is it three or four now? I think it's okay. I can remember three anyway. So the first is make 100,000 in gross profit every month. Now, this seems to be a bit of struggle in this past month of April, because even for certain weeks or days that I had to work very long and very much into the night, my numbers were still very, very funny. It was not a very good month for me, I'd say, but it wasn't necessarily the worst. It wasn't that bad, actually. I was still able to get what I needed to get for the day, or what I feel like was my acceptable minimum for the day. So one of the goals was get 100k in gross profit every week. The second was make a saving of at least 20k every week. So 80k by the end of the month for a month that has 4 weeks or 4 Sundays. Yeah. And the third was make at least 60% or above. When you find the percentage difference or marginal difference between your gross and your net profit, it should be at least 60%. That shows that you've been taking the right kinds of trip, or you've been collecting the right kind of money for the trips that you've taken. So if it's below that, means there's something wrong with the kinds of trips that you accept. They're not proper. All right. And apart from that, I want to state right off the bat that my maintenance for the month of April was around 35. I changed my hub bearing, started to grind and make some very uncomfortable sound. That cost me around 12k, as apart from service charge. Then the bearing cost me around 10k. Then the fixing cost around 2k. But then the mechanic, they had to fix it back into the tires and all that. I had to also pay him something. Then I also did servicing on the car. Cost around 20k. I use 4 liters for my own engine, so it cost around 20k. So it's a bit more. I think I paid that dude around 4,000 or something for the entire work. So, but I'm just keeping it at 35k just for a rounded figure. I think it's around 36, maybe 37, but let's just call it 35 for car expenditure for the month of April. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it now. The month of April started with a weekday. The first weekday was 25k, the second, and then on Sunday was 65k. Total was 90k. This is not up to 100, so we did not meet our mark for that week. The next weekday, I did not work. I did not work. But on Sunday I worked, and then I only got 60k, so that's just 60k for that week. Also not reaching our goal of 100k a week. The next weekday was 21k, and then the weekend was 65k. That's just 86k. That's just 86k for that week. Also not up to 100k. Then the last weekday was 23k for the weekday and 76k for the weekend, which is 99k total. Very close, but still not up to 100k. So in the end, the month of April is not so great. It was not so bad either. According to me, this was at best average, at best. Okay, I had to struggle a lot to get customers, and it was a bit of a dry month, especially because the children were on holidays. Okay, you'd be surprised just how much students being on holidays could actually affect the frequency of request. It's crazy, but it's actually true. So I encourage the people on the WhatsApp group that this month, from May, June, and a bit of July, is going to be a good month. Okay, so if you must work in this month. Don't dull, because in August, I assure you 100% it's going to be dry. August is like that. It's going to be dry. Okay, so work this month and save for the rainy days. That's my advice to you. All right, so I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.